Well, that's the final load of building supplies I had in the vehicle. Got 8 more sheets of metal for the roof, so I know we have enough now to cover the cabin and the porch. Behind me there I've been cutting away, and I've just got a few more roof boards to cut, and we'll have enough for the planks to cover the porch. So all these things getting ready for any parts of the crew that returns next year, anybody else who wants to take part in finishing out the cabin. And then while I took a few breaks on the way in pulling that load, and one of them of course was by the ash swale, which means early morels to cook up with a meal. Not to be confused with the black morels, but they go down really nice. And some people say, oh, you can't eat those. Well, they're fine. You know, for tonight, we had a 98-degree day up here in the Baudette area. Eat pretty easy tonight. Just got some deer burger on the left and a can of morel mushrooms there on the right. Last load. It's been so hot lately. Yeah, the mosquito, I knew they'd come. Yesterday I went to town and picked up some propane fuel and some more bottled water. I don't usually have bottled water out here, but get this building crew in here and it's really nice. They can just grab a clean bottle of water and not be worried about my swamp water. In fact, I think I'm hot enough right now, I'm going to grab one out of the stash and sit down and have a drink. As I mentioned a few times, we've got this really high pressure dome over the northern Minnesota this early May. What was it, last Sunday? 98 in the area. I had 94 here out here, even in the cool woods. It was 94 on my 2 thermometers. And then yesterday on the trip to town, I think it was around 92. Today we're going back to 90 to 95, and tomorrow one more day of it, and then cold front's going to move through, and then we're going way down to where in about 4 days they're talking a low of 36 and a high of 46 with some rainy weather. So I shouldn't complain about this heat right now, even though 90 degrees at the cabin is just a little bit on the warm side. Little bit, well, way on the warm side. I just held off. I haven't done too much to, I keep the cabin closed up. Last night I got a pot over there, a black pot out in the sun heating up water where it gets almost warm, and so I didn't want to even heat up water for dishes in the cabin because it just raises it really fast. But the dishes were piling up the last night about dark. I did heat up a little bit of water and got the dishes caught up. Raised the temp in the cabin about 5 degrees, but at that point I was able to open the door and bring it back down again to the outside temp, which was about 80. So the goal the last couple of mornings has been to get up early and make my trek out to the vehicle this morning, like, oh, I had one more load there, so I got up while it was still 70 degrees and made the trip out and got that in, and now, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. I know it's not going to be anything real strenuous. It's too hot to be running that chainsaw on that Grandberg mill setup. Too hot for the chainsaw. Too hot for Martin too. So I think I'm just gonna lollygag around. I got some few light chores to do. Tomorrow, since we got rains moving in, tomorrow I think I'll get up a little early. I'll take my vehicle out to the north where I have a nice dry spot to park it. But with all the brush that came down late last winter, or early winter it was, before Christmas, I may have to do some trimming to get into the parking spot. So I want to get an early start. I don't want to be out there cutting brush at 90 degrees. So that'll be tomorrow morning's beat the heat task. And then we'll just see what else I can do. It's really nice. The birds are showing up with this south wind. The nice thing is it is bringing some birds in, and I had oven birds this morning to add to the mix, and some more calls I don't recognize. Oh, here comes I had some leftover dried venison that I left here last year, and it's so old now I don't want to trust eating it, but the Canada jays have been hauling it off to their nest. I'm not sure when they're going to bring their young'uns in, but I'm sure they've got a nest full of young'uns out there someplace. So I'll bet in the next week there's going to be a couple dark young gray jays show up. Yeah, you're welcome. They appreciate some good food. So, time to cool down. I mentioned my hot water heater. Time to get it topped off. I'll explain what's going on back here. I always had that hand pump on there, you know, and well, usually this well, there's not always any water down there. It's only about maybe 9 feet, 10 feet down there. When the water table really drops, it'll finally go dry. But in the springtime like this, or if there's been some rain, there's water in there. There's a lot of iron in it, so I don't like to use it that much. It gets everything brown, and I always felt it made a terrible cup of coffee, and I like that spring water so much better because it just perked up so much nicer. But with it being so dry up here, and I was getting low on water, so not that I'd be drinking this stuff, but for dishes and baths, the other night I had this nice and warm, and I come out here and it was warming up. It just made a nice bath right out of the hot water heater. But on the problems with this, years ago, I thought it was a great idea, even though it's not really driven down in the sand or anything, but I had this point, and I drove it onto the end of the pipe. Well, over the years, because of that iron I talked about, it really just clogs up and rusts, so it sealed up my sand point completely, and I couldn't pump water. So Walleye Don was here last week. I said, hey, help me. And so we took the bolts off and we pulled that thing out. And then I fashioned up that pole with the jug on it, which is kind of funny because, you know, it goes back to where before I got here, that stovepipe was in the ground, and that's the way people had always gotten water for decades. I improved things. Well, it ended up not being that great of an improvement because it didn't work that well, but you saw how easy it was just to dip out a gallon of water at a time out of there. So I might put the pump back on for show, but in really the lazy man's idea, I'm thinking about getting a 12-volt water pump I can drop down in there and bring a hose up and just put the battery over here and flip the switch and pump water undisturbed out of the bottom of that well cavity. So that's the future. Got to get this maybe taken apart somehow. I don't have any pipe wrenches here, so I might have to bring one up. We'll work on that, but I'm not sure if we'll ever be using the primer pump again. It might just be a showpiece. But I got water at my doorstep. Just a matter of getting it out of there. Really pleasant in here right now too. Out of the sun, back in the trees. Everything probably still cooled down for the night, so it's a nice cool cavern. And the one job I can work on here is I've been cutting all these planks up to finish off that porch roof. I want to get them stacked up back in here with the stickers between each layer so that over the summer they can dry up and stay flat. So it might be a task I tackle right now before I go in, and I think I'm going to have some brunch. Getting a little late. I've got to watch out, just a habit. I think it's probably around 10:30, and I might get these boards stacked up and then work up an appetite. Go in and have some pancakes. I even got a little hunk of butter out of the freezer out there to slather on there. Still got some Drone Man's homemade maple syrup in there too. Wow, this is sounding pretty good, but I should get these stacked up. Now, I mentioned going out to the freezer. You know, a few years ago, my old refrigerator freezer, it just finally quit working, and so I salvaged another one out of an old camper, but it was a brand new one. The guy had rehabbed his camper, but he'd never used it, so I brought it up, and boy, I can tell you the old one, at 90 degrees, I would have had everything thawed after about a day of that. And this one, it'll hang down there around 22 degrees, and then in the evening, after it's been really hot all day, it might rise up to 28. So that was really a pleasant surprise, because it's not really a freezer anyway. I just crank it all the way up, and I use it as a freezer. So that's saved my bacon literally on that one. Now, get these boards laid out. The windows I brought up for over here. I brought up 3, but I think in the end I'm just going to put in 2. advantage of milling these out here. I didn't need to haul them in on that cart. Besides the cost at Menards, it would have been quite the chore. I think I have 3 more to slab out. That'll mean I have 5 more to do the edging on the edge of this pile. I think Michael was my trim man last fall. You'll probably be glad to see these are all already edged out, so we can put into more productive work. You can see how many meals it was since they did dishes. Magic. Used so much pancake mix between camping trips and that big crowd here last fall that I bought a big, I don't know what it was, 15-pound bulk box or something off of Amazon. Do a little test cake there first, see if the griddle's hot enough. Poor man's maple syrup. Get the butter softening out in the sun. I think we're about right. I like to remember to put my butter on when I first flip it. It's all melted in before I go to eat. This is my sturdy wheat brand of pancake mix. I find that it's almost like 50-50 to pancake mix to water, but then as it sets just for a little bit, it really rises and kind of sets up. So I knock it back down just a little bit. Don't want to kill the flour. Now we'll get serious. Worth waiting for. For good reason. I never have pancakes at home, but I sure like them here. Two big ones for me and just enough batter for one small one for the birds. Good stuff.